Good day, everyone, and welcome to Dynamic Cycle Institute, a journey towards circular economy webinar series powered by Tagleaf Industries. I'm Maria Monique, Marketing Communications for Flexible Packaging at Tagleaf, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. The Dynamic Cycle Institute is a webinar series with TI partners and industry experts with the aim to share advanced know-how to various stakeholders within and beyond the packaging and plastics industry. In fact, a couple of weeks back, we had InterZero with us, and they have discussed flexible packaging in relations to sorting, mechanical recycling, and product safety. For today's webinar, we are also joined in by Tagleaf's Product Manager and Sustainability Advisor, Mrs. Monica Batistella, to introduce our speaker and participate in our question and answer session after the presentation. Hi, Monica, how's it going?
Hi, Maria, I'm doing well, and hello to everyone who's currently tuning in with us. I'm delighted for today's presentation because we have the pleasure to welcome Recyclass, a value chain initiative that we've recently joined. Recyclass is driven by the interest of the brands, retailers, converters, raw material producers, and recyclers to advance recyclability of plastic packaging and establish a harmonized approach towards the use of recycled material. It is a value chain platform which aims at filling an existing gap between the different industry actors and bringing the knowledge of recyclers right down to the packaging designers. With its scientific approach, Recyclass enhances and evaluates recyclability of plastic packaging by developing methodologies and guidelines necessary to assess the recyclability of a package. With this purpose in mind, Recyclass developed the Recyclability Methodology, designed for recycling guidelines, and Recyclability Evaluation Protocols, which serve as a basis for the development and implementation of the Recyclass online tool, Recyclability Certifications, and technology and product approvals.
Thank you very much, Monica. Before we introduce our speaker for this afternoon, we would like to remind you to please mark your calendars so you don't miss out on our last upcoming webinar from our very first Dynamic Cycle Institute webinar series. So that's on the 10th December at the same time today, 3 p.m. Central European Time, where we will be having Recyclass HTP Institute with us. You can follow all of the latest updates for our upcoming webinars through our LinkedIn page. That's on Tagleaf Industries, and Twitter page, that's at TI_films. And in case you missed our previous webinars, they shall be available for preview on our landing page. That's dynamiccycle.ti-films.com. We will be answering your questions at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to type them in. We will try to cover them during the Q&A session. You can click on the below Q&A button, which you can find on your dashboard below, to send in your question. And now to officially begin, I turn this over to Monica to introduce our speaker for this afternoon.
Thank you, Maria. Our guest speaker for today's webinar received an honors degree in environmental science and technology and a PhD in industrial engineering from the University of Naples. For about 10 years, he was a researcher and lecturer at the University of Naples in mechanical, chemical, and biochemical processes applied to waste, as well as in life cycle assessment. He was R&D manager in the Italian National EPR scheme, and currently he is technical manager in Plastics Recyclers Europe and in charge of Recyclass. Let us welcome Mr. Fabrizio Di Gregorio.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Maria, for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me today to introduce you on Recyclass, a value chain initiative working on design for recycling. Recycling is possible only if the supply chain exists. So when we started to work as Plastic Recyclers Europe, the Association of Plastic Recyclers, covering more than 80% of the plastic recycling capacity in Europe, on how to improve the quality of the recycled plastics, unfortunately, we were not able to engage all the value chain because, of course, there was not enough interest in the past regarding the recyclability when you need to design a packaging. But today, because of the new legislations, and in particular because of the several commitments to have the packaging designed to get recycled, we decided to engage all the value chain in a platform that is named Recyclass, in order to share the respective knowledge we have around the plastic packaging recyclability, and improve the design and improve the quality of the recycled plastics that need to be put on the market. In this way, the recycled plastic will be probably reintroduced in a circular society for the production of valuable products like packaging, for example. And because the intention in Recyclass is to move from a linear society to a circular society for plastics, our goal is to approach the matter in a scientific way. And because unfortunately we are living in a transition period now regarding recyclability, and we are looking to circularity, one of the priority for Recyclass is to harmonize the design for recycling guidelines we have in Europe, because unfortunately we have several different set of guidelines available with different information provided into. So one of the priority for Recyclass is to harmonize the design for recycling guidelines we have in Europe in order to have just one guidelines for each kind of packaging, and have a scientific approach to the matter in order to avoid the different opinion coming from the different stakeholders of the plastic industry, and to base the information reported in the guidelines on data. So the goal is to standardize not just the guidelines that are there to educate people in understanding how to design the packaging to improve the quality of recycled plastics tomorrow, but also to standardize definition around recyclability, circularity, as well as to standardize standard testing protocols to generate data and populate the guidelines with reliable data. And of course, this standard protocol need to be focused on high quality recycled plastics. So we need to look at the highest end application as benchmark in order to boost circularity in Europe. The platform was kicked off 18 months ago with 4 members. And because of the huge interest by the plastic industry, today we count for 44 members, mainly brand owners, converters, and raw material producers. And the platform is expected to enlarge in the next month because of the interest for more people to be part of this technical initiative. Indeed, Recyclass is a technical initiative, and we have 5 technical committees, each one dedicated on a specific kind of packaging, plastic packaging, one for HDP, one for polypropylene rigids, another one for polystyrene, another one for polyolefin films, PE and PP films, and the last one for PET, bottles and trays. In each technical committee, we have representatives of all the value chain. So we have brands, converters, raw material producers, and recyclers that are working all together in order to improve the knowledge about recyclability for this specific packaging. And they are also developing standard protocols in order to give to the plastic industry the opportunity to test innovation in the market, because we need innovation in order to boost circularity in the field of plastic packaging. Also, our members are quite interested to create a parallel field on claims, on recycling claims. So we created a permanent task force on recycling claims that is currently working on the definition of an adequate list of claims as well as also to the definition of a logo to be used to communicate to the consumer. And also there was, during 2020, the intention to work on sorting, because sorting is a key part of the recyclability assessment. So we also created a permanent task force on sorting, and we are developing a sorting protocol that will be probably finalized and published by the end of the year. Also, it was created during 2020 a certification scheme for recyclability assessment and also for recycled content assessment, the second one with a chain of custody approach. And today we count for 7 partnerships, 7 different companies that was able to align their guidelines and their methodologies with the Recyclass one during this year, and they were trained and accredited by Recyclass to release certification, recyclability certification for plastic packaging in all the European countries. How does Recyclass work? Again, this is a technical initiative, and we have 3 main pillars to support the value chain on assessing and improve the recyclability for plastic packaging. The first pillar are the recyclability evaluation protocols, that are standard protocols developed by Recyclass members in order to simulate what is happening every day in the real recycling lines. All the protocols are used by the technical committee to advance and to improve the internal know-how about what can be considered recyclable and what cannot be considered recyclable, not because of the several opinions we have around the tables of the technical committee, but looking at the data generated by the lab test. So basically, all the tests we are developing in Recyclass are used to populate the guidelines with more and more information, or sometimes to approach the matter in more detail in order to guarantee reliable information to the plastic industry. We have a set of guidelines that looks like the traffic light color, and these guidelines are continuously updated on the base of the lab tests. And also, some years ago, we developed a tool where all the information reported in the guidelines are transposed into, in order to give the opportunity to everyone for free to self-assess the recyclability of plastic packaging. So the Recyclass tool is available online, and anyone for free can carry out a self-assessment of their plastic packaging. And the result is a class ranking from A to F, because recyclability is not black and white, but it's dependent by the quality of the recycled plastic generated by the packaging you are designing. And A means that the recyclability, the packaging was designed to get recycled, and the quality of the recycled plastics will be of a quality so high that can be introduced again exactly in the same article. And F means the opposite. Unfortunately, the packaging was designed probably with functionality in mind, with the marketing in mind, but not with recyclability at all. So today, the packaging cannot be recycled and can be just recovered for energy generation. And apart from Recyclass tool that can be used for for making self-assessment and to understand if the packaging can be claimed recyclable or not, we developed a certification scheme in order to allow everyone also to guarantees in a business-to-business model and provide the data about the recyclability of their packaging. And also, we would like to engage consumers, and we are developing a logo with all our members in order to engage consumer and clarify to the consumer which article on the shelf of the market is supposed to get to be recyclable or more recyclable with respect to another one. What the guidelines do? I tried to explain you that the guidelines we have in Europe are too much. There are too many guidelines, and often the guidelines have different information because this information are not always based on data. And what we are doing in Recyclass is to ensure that all the information reported in the guidelines are based on lab tests. And also, we are discussing the results of this lab test in the technical committee, and just if there is consensus between along the value chain, the guidelines are updated. But the guidelines are not enough. We need a toolbox to assess recyclability, and the guidelines are, of course, a key tool, a key instruments to educate people in understanding when they design the packaging, why and in which extent a packaging features can influence the packaging recyclability. So basically in green, yellow, and red, you can see, for example, in this slide, for polyethylene flexible films, what is supposed to be fully compatible with recycling, what is supposed to be limited compatible with recycling, because some ingredients can affect the recyclability and the quality of the recycled plastic slightly, and what need to be avoided in designing the packaging if you aim to have the packaging claimed recyclable. And I try to explain to you that it's impossible to have a guideline, a reliable guidelines, if you don't have a testing protocol, a standard testing protocol. So what we started in Recyclass 2 years ago, it was to develop protocols in order to populate guidelines on the base of data. And what we are doing in Recyclass, apart to make independent tests internally, also to improve our know-how and share this know-how with the full value chain, is also to accept application by member or non-member of the Recyclass platform that would like to have their technologies, in particular innovative technologies in the field of plastic packaging, recognized as recyclable. So we are receiving several applications for HDP containers, polypropylene containers, polyethylene, polypropylene films, and we are making tests following the protocols, and then we are analyzing as technical committees, so as engaging all the value chain, we are assessing the results, and we are discussing the results and deciding all together if the results are enough good to support any recyclability claims. And in that case, all the guidelines are updated with the new findings. And we have a set of protocols apart a set of the guidelines. So we have currently 5 different recyclability protocols. So we have a protocol for HDP containers, a recyclability protocol for polypropylene containers, and then we have a protocol for PET bottles that is exactly the same protocol used by the European PET bottle platform in order to have an harmonization in the results. And also we are looking to release in the next weeks the recyclability protocol for polypropylene films in order to give the chance to the plastic industry also to advance in designing the polypropylene films. And also we have a sorting protocol that is already used, was already developed and is already used by the technical committee is Recyclass in order to ensure also that the sorting performances of the packaging are tested before to deliver any recyclability approval or give the opportunity to the companies to make recyclability claims. And the sorting protocol we have, it's not just a near test, but it's a comprehensive testing protocol to ensure that all the sorting steps typically occurring in a sorting line are covered by the protocol. And the intention of the recyclability protocol is to simulate what is happening in recycling line in at real conditions. So basically, all the protocols are structured in 3 main sessions. we have pretreatment tests, extrusion tests, and converting tests, where the innovation sample submitted to the test by a company that is supposed to be an innovative one, for example, is tested against a control one. In this case, you can see by the flow sheet an innovation film that is tested against a control film, where the control film is 100% made by virgin resin. So it's supposed to be fully recyclable. And during the pretreatment test, the innovation and the control samples are separately tested for grinding, washing, flotation, aeration, and then are dried. And the performances for each test are compared each other in order to evaluate if the ingredients coming with the innovation sample can influence the performances during the real recycling operational. Then, extrusion. The extrusion is the key part of each recycling process. So basically 3 different blends with, by mixing the control and the innovation are prepared. And the first one, named A0, is tested following strictly the procedures reported in the protocol. And then also A25 and A50 are processed without any change in the setting parameters for a minimum of 30 minutes at steady state condition. And then the process is monitored and the pellets are characterized and again compared each other for their properties in order to evaluate if there is some influences coming just because there is some ingredients that is not performing well with the innovation sample. But in Europe, we are leading on circularity. So also we have in the protocol a converting test that is mandatory in order to assure that the quality of the recycled plastics generated after the extrusion step is so high that can be used for the production of new products. So basically, for example, for the polyethylene films recyclability protocol, we have a dilution step where the pellets generated by the previous step are diluted by 0.5% with virgin material to simulate in the real life the use of recycled content in new products. And then again, the 3 blends are processed for the production of blow film. If the film are produced, they are characterized for mechanical properties and again compared each other in order to evaluate if there is some negative influence coming because of the innovation. And I just reported in the next 2 slides all the parameters that are necessary to characterize the pellets. And also in the next one, all the parameters we have in the protocol for polyethylene film to characterize the film. And also we have some benchmark recommendation, of course, in order to ensure a reliable decision-making process to evaluate the results. I just would like to mention that all the protocols I'm sharing with you today are publicly available on the Recyclass website, so you can download the protocol and also you can decide to test your packaging or your innovation by using the protocol with Recyclass. And the last part of the presentation is referring to how we can use a guideline to claim recyclability. I mentioned that in Recyclass, we have a set of guidelines that is continuously updated on the base of lab tests. Then also we have a free online tool to rank the recyclability in classes. We have 6 different classes. And I, again, would like to that all of you can play with the tool in order to self-assess the recyclability of your packaging. But also in 2020, we developed a certification scheme in order to give the opportunity to everyone after the self-assessment via the Recyclass tool to certify via third-party auditor the recyclability of your packaging. And the certification scheme we developed allow anyone to obtain 2 different kinds of certification. So basically in Recyclass, we have 2 main deliverables. if you are a converter and you have an innovation in your hand and you would like to test, because we don't have today enough information to be reported in a guidelines, you can challenge the guidelines via the protocols, and you can make tests, and the tests are discussed by the technical committees, and you can receive a full compatibility or a limited compatibility with recycling because of the innovation you proposed and tested via the protocols. But for example, if you are a brand and you have a final package in your hands and you like to certify the recyclability of your final package with all the decoration on, for example, apart the tool, you have two opportunities with the certification scheme developed by Recyclass. The first one is a qualitative assessment, and the second one is a quantitative assessment. The qualitative assessment can be used by everyone to claim the recyclability in the European market. And basically, you can start with the tool, and with the tool, this is just an overview of the methodology with the tool. With the tool, you will achieve a class ranking, and there are some penalties connected with the guidelines, in particular -1 class if there is something, some packaging features reported in yellow with the guidelines, or -3 classes if you have some packaging features reported in red in the guidelines. But also, in some case, the packaging is completely disqualified for recyclability because of specific packaging features reported in red, and the recyclability assessment ends directly in an F class. But with the certification, we have the opportunity, the auditors have the opportunity to assess more details respect to the self-assessment analysis with the tool, and they can ensure to release reliable certification for your packaging recyclability for the full European market, and in this case is a qualitative assessment ranking from A to F, and not just the packaging design is taken into account, but also the end market, so the quality of the recycled plastics, as well as the sorting performances. And then we developed also a methodology to assess the recyclability rate of the packaging. And this assessment is a quantitative assessment that ends in the percentage of recyclable content, recyclable plastics you have in your packaging. And also in this case, you can decide to certify your packaging in a specific geographical area in Europe. And this certification takes into account local collection schemes, as well as the availability of local sorting and recycling infrastructures, as well as, of course, the ability for the recycled plastics to replace virgin plastics on the market. And yeah, this is a flow sheet of the methodology we developed in Recyclass for the recyclability rate assessment. It's quite complex because it's a formula that take into account the collection and the availability of local sorting and recycling infrastructures, as well as the sorting behaviors and the recyclability behaviors of your packaging, and finally also the quality of the recycled plastic and its ability to replace virgin material on the market. And the methodology is available online. So please, if you like to download the methodology, that is a comprehensive 27-page document, you can do that, and you can analyze the detail of the methodology for yourself. And because the methodology for assessing recyclability rate is quite complex, what we need in Recyclass is to have experienced partners in order that are able to provide the right support to you in order to assess the possibilities to achieve this kind of certificates. And currently we have 7 that are able to use the Recyclass methodology in a very detailed way, and provide you for specific geographical area in Europe, for example, Recoup in UK, or Redilo in Switzerland, Circular Analytics in Austria, Plastic in Germany, and CIRPAC in all European countries. They are able to provide you certificates for this specific geographical area. And what we are doing now in Recyclass is, of course, to further cooperate with other institutions that are already on the market, on the certification market, in order to harmonize their guidelines and their methodology, and to assure to have in Europe, as soon as possible, just one methodology and just one set of guidelines to claim recyclability everywhere in Europe, exactly with the same technical information. This was my last slide for today, so I would like to thank all of you for your attention, and now the floor probably is for Maria again.
That would be me. Thank you very much, Fabrizio, for the interesting presentation and also the very clear explanation of Recyclass guidelines and also the Recyclability Protocol. So thank you very much, Fabrizio.
Yes, thank you very much, Fabrizio, for that presentation. I'm sure that our live audience have found that to be very useful, because I did, so thank you so much. And as mentioned earlier, after the presentation, we will be answering some of the questions that our audience has sent to us. So the first question that we have, and I know that you have commented about this on one of your slides regarding the existence of the different recyclability guidelines, but in your opinion, what do you think is needed to achieve harmonization?
Yeah, what we need in Europe is to harmonize first the methodology for assessing recyclability. And for doing that, what we need are standard protocols. And this is what exactly we are doing in Recyclass by a couple of years, but it's also the goal that the European Commission would like to achieve. And it was created, it was kicked off 1 year ago, an initiative that is the Circular Plastic Alliance, that is currently working on design for recycling, not just for plastic packaging, but for all plastic products in different field of application. And currently they streamline the guidelines, the available the more reliable available guidelines in Europe, and they are looking to define what we need to harmonize. Of course, it's not just guidelines, but are also the protocols we need for testing. And Senelec, the standardization schemes, the European standardization schemes, will act from 2021, will work from 2021 on the standardization to have just one set of protocols and one set of guidelines and one unique methodology in Europe for assessing recyclability.
Thank you, Fabrizio, for your answer. We have received a question actually from a brand owner, so I would like to pass it on to you. And the question is, as brand owner, we would like to have more details about future recycling stream scenario for PP flexible films. Will PP be competitive if compared to PE? And what about the mixture of polyolefins?
Yeah, very good question. Indeed, we need to say clearly that today we don't have any dedicated recycling line in Europe for polypropylene film, because the quality of the waste we have is quite bad, unfortunately, and also the amount of polypropylene is quite low, and this is why sometimes in Europe polypropylene flexible films are collected and then not sorted in a dedicated stream, but sorted in a mix of polyolefin stream. And this mix of polyolefin stream, where polypropylene flexible film that typically are, of course, not always in monolayer, but are multi-layer with sometimes with polyethylene, with polyethylene terephthalate, with polyamides, with EPOH. This stream is currently recycled. but unfortunately it's a mix of polyolefin, and it's recycled for injection molding application, for example, that of course are not exactly the application we are looking for circularity. So what we are doing in Recyclass, of course, we already have a guidelines for polypropylene, and we are looking to improve the packaging design, releasing a protocol that can be used by everyone to test the polypropylene films they are developing, and to guarantee an increase of the value in the polypropylene film. For sure, if we are able, as plastic industry altogether, to improve the quality and the economic value of the polypropylene flexible film waste, we will have more and more sorting lines that will be able to generate profit by sorting polypropylene films alone in a dedicated stream. And then we have already several recyclers who are really interested to invest in capability for a dedicated recycling line for polypropylene film.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting. Another question that we have gotten, how can governments in the EU support the implementation and further the development of a more advanced collection, sorting, and recycling system?
This is a very big question. Unfortunately, today we are moving from a linear society to a circular society, and in Europe there is not harmonization at all on recyclability assessment, so on how to assess recyclability, but also we don't have an harmonization on collection. So we are living in a transition period where in some countries all the plastic packaging are already collected and then addressed to sorting and recycling lines, and in other countries just some packaging, plastic packaging, is collected for recycling. So what we need is to accelerate in order to boost circularity in Europe, and it will be a very long journey, but we need to start from the design. If we are able, as plastic industry all together, to accelerate in designing the packaging in the right way, with by balancing the functionality of the packaging, the marketing, how to display some marketing behaviors on the packaging with recyclability, we will have the chance to create value in the waste. If we will create value in the waste, there will be a very quick transition in the society. That means, of course, improvement in the collection schemes, not just the amount of waste, but also the higher quality schemes to collect packaging, also with deposit schemes. And for sure, we will ensure a quick transition in improving, in upgrading the sorting technologies and the recycling technologies. So unfortunately, it's not today for tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's not just one actor of the value chain that can make the revolution in plastics, but we need to act all together, and we need to speak with one voice and look all together to the same goal. And this is what we are trying to do in Recyclass, engaging everyone and trying to be open-minded and look at data and not on our our personal opinion.
Thank you very much, Fabrizio, for this precious insight. So we have received actually quite a number of questions, but due to time constraints, unfortunately, we will not be able to answer them all. We would be happy to, but unfortunately, there's no time left. But be sure that we will be responding personally to all your questions via mail later on. So Fabrizio, once again, thank you for today's discussion. We are truly honored to have you with us here at Dynamic Cycle Institute. Thank you.
It was a very big pleasure. Thank you, Monica and Maria, to organize and to support me.
Indeed. Thank you so much. It has been such an honor to have you with us today, and it has been a very insightful discussion. So thank you so much, Fabrizio, for joining us and for sharing your presentation with us. And of course, Monica, for joining us today. Thank you very much. For our upcoming webinar, we have Mrs. Sandra Beckhunt, Managing Director of Recyclass HTP Institute, to talk about recyclability assessments, assortment screenings, and researches. Again, that's happening on the 10th December, 3 p.m. Central European Time. Now, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us through our contact details that you can see later on your screen. You may also write to us at sustainability@ti-films.com for more information on Dynamic Cycle. You can also visit our page, that's dynamiccycle.ti-films.com. And of course, you will also should be able to get the latest webinar updates, schedules, and speaker details if you follow us on our LinkedIn and Twitter pages. And you can easily search and filter through by using the hashtag Dynamic Cycle Institute. Now, thank you once again for joining us this afternoon, and we'll see you again next time.